Hi everybody, this is video 2 of my journey with my diagnosis of breast cancer. So this was my first appointment at the breast clinic on Maple Avenue, the Parkland Breast Clinic. And so I went in there, I filled out the necessary paperwork, and I got registered, and I was sitting in the waiting room waiting for the nurse to call me into the examination room and for the mammogram. I'm just going to take a sip of water. So as I was sitting at the breast clinic, and for those of you who know me and who've been following me on social media, you know that I'm a big believer of signs. And for me, this journey is going to be all about staying super present and noticing the signs that are coming from the divine to show me that I'm exactly where I'm meant to be and that I am protected and loved. And that for me is extremely important because, you know, all of us, when we're going through life, whether it's whatever problems we're having, wherever we are on our journeys, it's so reassuring to know that God's presence is in our life. And I think more importantly than anything else, for me, it's very important that the continued knowing that the divine presence is within me and around me is super important. I know it's going to help me during times where I'm getting super emotional, when I'm feeling frightened or scared. So these are really important to me. And so this is as good a time as any for me to continuously stay present. So anyhow, I was sitting in the waiting room at the hospital, at the clinic, sorry. And at that time, I was in the process of reading this book, Friendship with God. It's by Neale Donald Walsch. If you are not familiar with the work of Neale Donald Walsch, I highly recommend that you explore it. Neale wrote a trilogy called Conversations with God and many books after that. But Friendship with God is one of the ones that he wrote after the trilogy was completed. And I was close to the end of this book. I remember exactly what page I was on because I've marked it. It's page 410. And so I was reading this paragraph, and I'm going to read it to you right now. There may be times when you will slip back into forgetfulness, when you imagine yourself to be other than who you really are. At those times, in particular, use our new friendship. Call on my name, and I will be there. I will show you to your answers. I will lead you to your wisdom. I will give you back to yourself. So I finished that paragraph, and I kind of still had my eye gaze on the page. I was looking at it, and I kind of said a prayer where I asked God that I am going through an uncertain time in my life in this moment. And although I know that he's always around me because he shows himself to me and reveals himself to me in so many beautiful ways through synchronistic experiences on a daily basis, I just wanted to do another ask. And you can never ask enough of God. You can never ask God enough times to show up for you in your life because, you know, he's always there watching you and protecting you and guiding you and loving you. And so it's so important that this journey for me is a reminder of that. And so as I was sitting and reading this book and being in the awareness of the uncertainty in my life and being true to that, I said to God, I said, I know that you're always around me. Can you please go ahead and just give me a sign right now that you are? And so as I made that request and my eye gaze was on the page, I kind of lifted my eye gaze and I kind of just casually looked out around the room, almost in terms of contemplation of that prayer and that ask. And as I looked around the room, like right across the room was another girl. She was sitting there and she was wearing a t-shirt, the Friends show. She had, it said across her t-shirt, it said Friends. And so I'm going to go back to this. The title of this book is called Friendship with God. And so the fact that this girl woke up in the morning and randomly picked up this t-shirt in the morning to put it on and decided to sit right across from me at the exact same time that I was at this breast clinic was no coincidence whatsoever. And I really took that as a sign that I had asked for, inviting God into that moment. If you know me, you would know that magic did not stop there. of course, I felt compelled to go up to her and talk to her. So, in maintaining a safe distance, of course, I went and sat at a chair away from her, but close enough to be able to have a comfortable conversation with her. And I said to her, I said, "Excuse me, I was like, please, I don't mean to interrupt you or anything, but I was like, I have to share something that has just occurred." And so I showed her the book. I said, "Do you see this book in my hand right now?" And she took it from my hand and she looked at it and she said, "Yeah." And then she just felt compelled to take a picture of it. So she took her cell phone and she took a picture of it. And I said, I was just reading this paragraph right now. And I said, before I show it to you, I said, you understand that we're, um, spiritual beings having a human experience. And so sometimes that human experience can be challenging for us, and we go through challenging times, and we need those constant reminders that God is around us. We need to remind ourselves that God is constantly in our every moment, and all we need to do is ask. And so I said to her that while I was sitting there, I was reading this paragraph. And so I asked her to read the paragraph, and she did. And as she did, tears began to well up in her eyes, and in mine as well. And we both were looking at each other with tears in our eyes. And I said to her, so I said, I asked in that moment for a sign from God that He's with me. And I said to the girl, I said, "Look at the T-shirt you're wearing." I said, "You're wearing a T-shirt that says friends on it." And I said, "That's not a coincidence." I said, "This book says friendship with God, and I was simply asking for a sign. And your T-shirt is a reminder that, yes, God and I are friends, just as you and God are friends, and just as all of us are friends with God. And if we were just able to tap into that knowing and that consciousness and the awareness that in every moment we're not alone, we're the expression of the divine, and the divine is within us and around us at all times. We're one." And so I said to her, I said, "Thank you, thank you for showing up and for being my sign, because I really needed that right now." And so she and I are crying, and she said that she needed the reminder so much to herself that she's going through something. And of course, I didn't need to know what it was, but just the fact that she had a reminder, and this was a sign, and that we were signed for each other. And so I proceeded to even tell her that I snuck in a picture, because I do that, so I snuck in a picture from that corner of the room, and I was like, "Look, I cut your face off, but I did have to take a picture of your T-shirt." And she was so open to it and just so receptive. And she asked me where I got the book from, and I was like, "You can pick it up from Half Price Books. Just go there and pick it up. They'll have a copy." And she said she definitely will. Anyway, we connected on Facebook, and her and I are now on Facebook together. And she took a picture within 30 minutes. She had, excuse me, left the breast clinic. And she'd gone and purchased herself a copy of the book, and then she took a picture of it and she sent it to me, which was so beautiful. Anyhow, once that conversation was wrapped up, in divine timing, a nurse comes out and she calls my name, and I have to go inside and put on the gown and do all of that fun stuff. But when I got down to reading the book again, as I was waiting in my gown for the folks to call me in for my mammogram, this was the paragraph that precedes that one, that follows that one that I just read out to you, and I'm going to read it. So I'll just give you a recap of the last few lines of the previous paragraph. It says, "Call on my name, and I will be there. I will show you to your answers. I will lead you to your wisdom, and I will give you back to yourself." Now I'm going to read the next paragraph that follows, that I was reading while I had my gown on. "This, then, do for all others. Give people back to themselves. This is your assignment. This is your mission. This is your purpose. And through their friendship with you, will they come to know that they have a friendship with God." And so I've gotten some notes there where I said, this is what I did for that girl, in reminding her about my friendship with God, and her reminding me of my friendship with God just simply through wearing a simple Friends T-shirt. We both reminded each other that in connecting and being friends on Facebook, we simply remind each other not just about our friendship with each other, but our friendship with God. And truly, that was just such a magnificent experience. It was such a divine experience. It was such a divine unfolding. And for me personally, being in that space where I had no idea what was going on with my health, what was going to come, it was just beautiful to know that there's one thing not to know what the future holds, but it's another to know that in this present moment, God is there, and to be lifted through that knowing, to rise in that knowing, and to be comforted in that knowing is just such a beautiful experience. And so that was my first visit to the breast clinic. And if you know me, I was super stoked about what's going to unfold next. And so, yeah, so so that happened. So I just wanted to let you know. So this is episode 2 of the magical journey, and I look forward to sharing more with you because there is more. So once this video is stopped, feel free to hop on and watch what happens next, because there's plenty more magic to come.